Hey, my friend, are you a small business owner that loves God, family, country, and capitalism? If so, you found the perfect YouTube channel to help you grow and make more money. Welcome to the War Plan Briefing. My name is Joshua Latimer. Today, we're going to talk about why it's so hard to scale a service-based business. Now, look, there is so much opportunity in all kinds of weird industries right now, even going into an economic downturn. All of that is true. There's opportunity everywhere. There's more millionaires per capita made during the Great Depression than any other time period. So even if it gets really bad, recessionally speaking here, there's opportunity everywhere. But service businesses specifically have unique challenges that people that have never ran one do not understand. And it's funny, when I say service business, I could be talking about a home service business, okay, like a carpet cleaner, for example. But I could also be talking about any kind of agency business. Agency meaning you do services for people. You know, a lawyer is a service business, right? But so is a social media agency that runs Facebook ads for you. I have a lot of friends that have, multi-seven-figure agency businesses. And what's funny is every time they get to about the $3 million mark is kind of where it taps out. And then they all get into the business of teaching people how to have a social media agency business, right? Why do they do this? Is it because they're bad? No, they're not bad. They're helping other people start a business. But there's weird realities to a service business that make it trickier to scale. Now, with that being said, if you're a home service business specifically, there is more money to be made right now than ever before. There's literally a gold rush coming specifically to home services for a variety of reasons. One of the reasons being is that private equity and Wall Street money has its eye on local Main Street service companies all over the United States. They have money to spend. They're paying bigger and bigger multiples. They're rolling up and gobbling up companies everywhere. And they have too much money to invest. Literally, they have too much. Can you imagine having that problem? You're so stressed out, you can't sleep at night because you have too much money and you can't invest it fast enough. Choose your heart, I guess, right? That's their heart. They're stressed out about it. And they want to buy companies like yours. Now, they're not going to give you a bunch of money for it unless you can get it up over $1 million. You get really profitable. Hopefully you can get it to $1 million in profit. Then you can get paid lots of money. But there's challenges to it. And so I want to kind of empathize with you on why it's hard and also help people understand, if they're getting into this business, some of the complexities that go along with it. So the first reason it's hard is because of the complexities, right? When you're selling labor, what that usually means is that you're selling expertise of some kind. You're selling technical expertise, and that presents challenges. So these social media agencies, just as one example, the reason they can grow really quick at first is because the founder, a lot of my friends were like Rain Man level gurus with Facebook ads, for example. They were just ridiculous. And they had cracked the code on certain things, started getting huge results for the couple clients they had. Word gets out really fast. And of course, everyone throws money at them and says, run my Facebook ads, right? Or maybe you're the best window cleaner this side of North Wichita. I don't know. You have like a gunslinger squeegee and you're just like amazing, right? And you wear a cowboy hat. Look, you're the best ever. Word will get out. Word will get out that you're really technically competent at the thing that you do. The problem is that I can't scale your awesomeness. It's very difficult to scale your level of awesomeness. And so as this agency scales with Facebook ad guru lady over here, she's going to have to hire people. And she has to hire people, but then she has to train people. You know, some of the complexities are training itself and the staff and trying to hire talent, but also develop talent. The other complexity is that once you train your staff, they now know how to do the thing that you do. And so if they have an entrepreneurial bone in their body, they're going to go like start their own thing, right? Which is why there's like 10,000 million social media agencies and there's a bajillion window cleaners. They're everywhere. They're like ants, right? But there's only a few of these $10, $20 million kind of enterprises that have multi-location and they have structure and management. Those guys that kind of figured out how to scale through that, they get paid lots and lots and lots of money when they exit, but everybody else is hitting their head against the ceiling. Another problem with scaling a service business is that when you do get a superhero employee, that's what I call them, superhero employees, you get really excited because my friend, the genius Facebook ads person, she's going to hire someone and most of them aren't going to be anywhere near as good as her. Even when she trains them, they're just garbage compared to her, but then she'll get one that's a rock star, right? But then what we do as small business owners is we delegate and put too much stuff onto that one superhero employee's plate and we overwhelm them and then we become too dependent on them. And what happens is as you're trying to grow your business, you become too dependent on one single person in your business. And the reason that happens is because you're overwhelmed and you're drowning and you've hired 5 people and you finally got a good one. And now this guy's cross-trained on every different service you do. He knows how to fix your equipment. He knows how to upsell that. He knows all the intricacies of all the weird things that need to happen for your business business to succeed. And only he knows it and only you know it. And now when you have 5 or 10 more employees, you can't fire this guy. You become a hostage to your own employee because you haven't trained everybody. The talent distribution isn't even. There's too much dependency entrusted to this one person. So it's tricky. There's ways to fix it, and I could go into that in some other videos. But think about that if you're going to go into the service business, that these are some of the things. Another reason it's hard to scale this type of business is that we're arbitraging labor. What you're really selling is someone else's time. So you pay your employee $30 an hour and you sell his time for $60 an hour. And then of course you have overhead and expenses, but that creates certain limiters on you. You know, a service business definitionally is coupled to time. The money you make is parallels the amount of time you have available to sell. And that's a bottleneck, right? When you're self-employed and all by yourself, you can, if you're like me, I was a pizza delivery driver when I was 20 years old and I got married, and I was more than happy to triple my income and be a window cleaner by myself, okay? That was a major step up. But eventually, I wanted to make even more money than that. So how would I do that? Well, the only two ways I can do that is by charging more dollars for every hour that I sell, right? Or by selling more total hours, right? That's it. Those are the only two things. And my income is inextricably linked to my time. And you've probably already found this out, and you're probably nodding your head like this. Oh, preach, Josh. I've been there. Yep, it's hard. And even when you have employees, though, you're still arbitraging labor. Arbitrage is just a fancy word that means you're creating a spread. You're taking the margin. Banks arbitrage money. So they loan it to you for 5%. They pay the Federal Reserve, 2%, and they keep the 3%. For example, what we do is we sell $60 an hour and pay $30 an hour, and that difference is your arbitrage. And that's good. It's awesome. It's better than working for Larry. Larry is such a bad boss, and I'm so glad you don't work for Larry. But it can create constraints when you're trying to scale. Another problem with trying to scale this type of business, another problem to try to scale a service business is that the barrier to entry is really low for most of these companies. And I kind of already talked about it, but let's spend another minute on it. The barrier to entry is tiny. That's why if you're in a service business where it's expensive to get started, you're typically going to do a little bit better. If you need to be certified, or if you have to have a state license and you have to have $100,000 in capital to start, those industries are fenced off a little bit better, right? For example, depends state to state, but if you're a plumber, for example, you might have had to have been a plumber for 8 years before you're even allowed to have a plumbing business of your own. That's awesome. And plumbers can make bank. Even just self-employed owner-operator plumbers can make close to $500,000 a year in some markets if they know how to sell, if they're smart, right? So you can crush it. But if you're a cleaning service or a social media agency or any kind of generic service, because the barrier to entry is low, you have to be extra good at retaining employees, or else they're just going to come and leave and start their own competing things. And it gets really, really frustrating, especially if you're small and every third employee is starting a competing power washing business in your town. It can mess with your head. In reality, you can crush them and become a way better asymmetrical marketer, and they're going to quit and give up because they don't understand how hard it is to run a business. But I digress. It's just difficult, and it messes with your head. Another reason it's tricky to scale a service business, and tell me in the comments if you relate to any of these, is capital constraints, right? So there might be a low barrier to entry for Joe to go buy a bucket and a squeegee and start cleaning windows and to start trying to go steal your window cleaning customers. But there's still capital constraints. For a lot of service businesses, we need trucks and heavy equipment, specialized equipment. We need marketing budgets. We need websites. We need SEO. We need all these things. And money's really, really, really hard. A small business that's bootstrapped is playing an entirely different game than a private equity-backed, venture-backed enterprise, okay? Here's what I mean. These big companies, they're playing with what I call monopoly money, and what you're doing is bootstrapping. Let's say that you need to make $100,000 a year just to pay your bills. If you live in Southern California and you have 3 kids and you're making $100,000 a year, you're like broke, okay? And so let's say that your business needs to do $500,000 in sales so that you can extract an owner's benefit $100,000 back to yourself so you don't starve to death and you can pay your mortgage or your rent or whatever, right? That's cool. See, that's a bootstrap business. What that means is that you can't make huge, stupid mistakes with cash. You don't have capital to burn. You can't have a burn rate, which is an actual word used in the software business with venture capital companies. They're like, what's your burn rate? That means how many millions of dollars per month are you losing? And they're like, oh, only $1 million a month? That's great. Yeah, it sounds like a great investment. That doesn't apply to you, the guy who's trying to bootstrap. You're playing a different game. You have to be careful. And these complexities make it tricky. Now, look, I don't want to discourage you from doing it. I just want to take this as an opportunity to acknowledge that what you're doing is not easy. And if you're having some measure of success, like, you're amazing, right? Because this might not be your forever business, but it's a really good type of business to cut your teeth in and learn about systems and structure and protocols and lead gen and sales and everything and everything, legal and finance and everything. Now you know how to read a P&L, you know what a balance sheet is. This education you're going to get running a service business is indispensable. But when you're thinking about your next business, these are interesting things to think about. I started in the service business, but I've had launched multiple software companies, coaching and education companies, event companies, and all kinds of other things now my wife and I have. And what's interesting is each time I'm doing it, I'm launching more leveraged, less complicated types of businesses as I go. And it's because of these types of considerations. People ask me all the time, Josh, would you get back in the service industry, in the home service industry? And it's like, yeah, like if I had to, I would. Like, I can go make that work. That would be like freshman level easy for me with what I know how to do. But it's not a leverageable enough opportunity for me to get excited about it right now with the other opportunities I have on my plate. So look, let's recap for a second. One of the reasons it's hard to scale is the complexities of it with labor and training and the technical competency they need to do the thing that you do. The other one is that you're arbitraging labor. It means you're selling time for a markup. The other one is that the barrier to entry is low and that you're basically going to train your competition in a business like this for a lot of them. The next one was capital constraints. When you're bootstrapping, you got to be careful with cash, which means you have to work even more hours and manually do stuff because you can't risk the $10,000 in that possibly going to work EDDM campaign that you're considering. Because if you lose the money, mama ain't happy. It's a bad thing. The pain is real, right? And then the last couple of things, the second to last reason it's hard is local constraints. So depending on where you are in the country, there's going to be limiters built into the opportunity in front of you, right? So if you have a small population versus someone in a huge metroplex, there's an upside limiter that has nothing to do with you. I always talk about judging blaming yourself and internal variables, but there are actual external factors that do, have real consequences. If you're going to try to build a $10 million business in a town with 2,500 people, good luck. Like, it's not going to happen probably, right? So, but that's not the only limiter, right? So population is a big one, but weather is a big one. So seasonality is a huge factor. One thing about having a software company, especially one if you can sell it to a global audience, is these limiters don't exist, right? You can build $1 million software product and sell it to 10,000 people, where if you're in, Podunkville, Wichita, and it gets really cold in the winter and you only got a 9-month season, plus there's only 3,500 people in your town, these are contributing factors that really become determining factors of how much success you can even have. Does that make sense? And then last but not least, this is a big one. I think the reason it's hard is because people enter this business, or maybe you already have one right now, and you're operating it with unrealistic expectations. You have extremely flawed understanding of how much effort it takes to get the big result. You misunderstand how much suffering is supposed to happen before you get the huge win. And look, the goal isn't suffering. I'm just making a metaphorical point. The point is like, it's hard. And when you read Tim Ferriss's 4-Hour Workweek and then you go buy a squeegee and think you're going to go do that, like, it doesn't work like that with the service business. It doesn't work like that with like almost any business. And when you have this misunderstanding of the effort required to get the result, it discourages you. It makes you slow down. And then you have like these idiots online like Grant Cardone and Gary Vee that say things like, oh, if you don't make $400,000 a year, you're an idiot, right? Or you're a fool. I actually literally heard Gary Vee is not the idiot in this particular example. Gary Vee was saying, if you make $400,000 a year, you're in the top 1% of income earners, because that's like a strong income, right? Pretending that it's not a lot of money is idiotic. And then I saw Grant Cardone saying, oh, that's a joke. $1 million a year is a joke. 10 million a year is a joke, right? Now, I'm not mad at Grant Cardone. I like watching a lot of his content because he's a master marketer. He knows how to get a rise out of people. He knows how to split the room. And all this crap he says like that is on purpose because it makes him lots of money. But I digress. But because there's millions of soon-to-be entrepreneurs watching him, when they go start a cleaning business or some sort of local home service business, they think that they're supposed to make amounts of money that are not reasonable for someone to make that has no experience. It's going to take time. It's going to be hard. You have to learn so many skills, hard skills and soft skills. You got to increase your talent stack. You got to grow and expand mega to have that level of success. Now, the truth is, can you make 400 grand? Of course, yes. Totally can. You have the earning potential of a professional athlete, literally, with a service business. It's really true. It's really, really true. And if you're 6 years in and you're still making 80 grand and you're barely making it, look, there's ways to fix that. But don't get discouraged just because it's harder than you thought. Reframe your expectations. Reframe your expectations. Don't compare yourself to everybody else. Compare yourself to you, because you're the only one worth comparing any of your business stuff to. Listen, I hope this is helpful for you. I hope it's encouraging for you. I hope it's informative and educational. And if it is, it's kind of your moral obligation, if this has helped you, to subscribe to this channel, and leave a comment. That's like your payment, right? Now, you don't have to pay. You can just be a creeper that creeps and doesn't do anything to help us. You can do that, but I know that's not who you are. You have warm love in your heart. And so you're going to subscribe and leave a comment. I'm just kidding. Hey, look, my name is Joshua Latimer. I want to make content that helps you grow your business. We're targeting family entrepreneurs. People that have kids, they love Jesus. My wife has this sign at our house in Michigan that says, "I love Jesus, but I swear a little." Look, we are very flawed people. I ain't some preacher guy, but we believe that God made you for a mission, mandate, purpose, and destiny. And the purpose of this channel is to help you go faster and to equip you with things you need to know to do it. So if you have suggestions, leave a comment. I'll be here for you. Until next time, see you in the next video. Hey, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed what you watched, click the video on the left to watch the previous upload. And if you want one of my personal favorites, click the video on the right. And of course, don't forget to hit the middle to subscribe so you never miss an upload. Thank you again for being on this journey with me.